In Don't Believe Everything You Think, Joseph Nguyen takes readers on a transformative journey, diving deep into the very nature of human thought and its profound impact on our lives. He begins by addressing a central issue, the assumption that our thoughts are always a reflection of reality. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that everything we think is an absolute truth, leading us to base our emotional and mental states on these thoughts. Nguyen challenges this notion, emphasizing that many of our thoughts are influenced by past traumas, societal conditioning, and subconscious beliefs. These thoughts often distort reality and become the root cause of human suffering. By examining the relationship between thoughts and emotions, Nguyen reveals how certain beliefs we hold lead to repetitive patterns of overthinking, stress, and emotional pain. One of the most critical insights of the book is that our suffering is not caused by external events or people, but by the meanings and stories we assign to those events through our thinking. Nguyen explains that the human mind is designed to think, and while this ability has enabled incredible achievements, it has also become the primary source of suffering. The mind's natural tendency is to constantly analyze, interpret, and create narratives about everything we experience. However, the problem arises when we identify too closely with these narratives and believe them to be the ultimate reality. Nguyen uses relatable anecdotes and stories to illustrate how our thoughts can mislead us and create unnecessary pain. For instance, a minor disagreement with a friend can spiral into a barrage of negative thoughts. They don't care about me, I'm always taken for granted, or I'm not good enough, which then leads to emotional suffering. The situation itself may not be painful, but our thoughts about the situation create the suffering. This example underscores the core of Nguyen's message. Suffering is not inherent in life, but is generated by how we think about life. Throughout the book, Nguyen emphasizes the importance of recognizing that thoughts are just thoughts, fleeting mental events that do not necessarily represent the truth. He suggests that instead of automatically believing every thought that crosses our minds, we should cultivate the habit of observing our thoughts without attachment. This practice, often referred to as mindfulness, allows us to develop a sense of detachment from our thoughts, enabling us to see them for what they truly are: mental constructs rather than objective facts. Nguyen argues that this shift in perspective is the key to ending suffering. When we stop identifying with our thoughts and stop taking them so seriously, we free ourselves from the mental prison that causes us pain. To help readers develop this ability, Nguyen introduces several practical techniques throughout the book. One such technique is mindfulness meditation, which involves focusing on the present moment and observing thoughts as they arise without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we train ourselves to become more aware of our thought patterns and learn to detach from them. Another technique Nguyen highlights is self-inquiry, which involves questioning the validity of our thoughts. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," Nguyen encourages you to ask, "Is this really true?" And "What evidence do I have to support this belief?" Often, upon closer inspection, we realize that many of our negative thoughts are based on assumptions, fears, or old programming, rather than actual facts. Nguyen also touches upon the concept of ego and its role in perpetuating suffering. The ego, he explains, is the part of us that is constantly seeking validation, approval, and a sense of identity. It is the voice in our heads that tells us we need to be something or someone in order to feel worthy or complete. The ego is heavily invested in our thoughts because it uses them to reinforce its sense of self. For example, when we think, "I'm smarter than them," or "I'm a failure," we are feeding the ego, either by boosting it up or tearing it down. In either case, We are identifying with a mental image of ourselves rather than recognizing our true nature, which exists beyond thought. Nguyen argues that the ego thrives on comparison, judgment, and attachment to outcomes, all of which lead to suffering. One of the most liberating insights of the book is the realization that we are not our thoughts. Our true self, Nguyen suggests, is the awareness that exists behind our thoughts, the part of us that is observing them. This awareness is inherently peaceful, still, and free from suffering. When we reconnect with this deeper sense of self, we transcend the mind and its endless chatter. Nguyen refers to this state as no mind, where we experience a profound sense of presence and clarity. In this state, we are no longer at the mercy of our thoughts, and suffering begins to dissolve. Achieving this state, however, requires consistent practice and a willingness to let go of the stories we tell ourselves. Nguyen also addresses common obstacles that people face when trying to break free from their thoughts. One such obstacle is the fear of letting go of familiar thought patterns, even when they cause pain. Many people hold on to negative beliefs about themselves or the world because these beliefs provide a sense of certainty, even if that certainty is painful. Letting go of these beliefs can feel like stepping into the unknown, which can be frightening. Nguyen encourages readers to embrace this uncertainty, reassuring them that true freedom lies on the other side of it. He emphasizes that by releasing attachment to thoughts, we are not losing anything of value. In fact, we are gaining access to a deeper, more authentic version of ourselves. In addition to mindfulness and self-inquiry, Nguyen suggests practicing gratitude as a way to shift our focus away from negative thoughts. Gratitude, he explains, helps to rewire the brain by redirecting our attention to the positive aspects of our lives, rather than fixating on what is lacking or wrong. When we cultivate an attitude of gratitude, we begin to see the world through a different lens, one that is more aligned with the truth of our present reality, rather than the distorted version created by our thoughts. The book concludes with a powerful reminder that thoughts are not inherently good or bad. It is our attachment to them that causes suffering. Nguyen encourages readers to approach their thoughts with curiosity and compassion, rather than judgment. By doing so, we can begin to unravel the layers of conditioning that have shaped our thinking and return to a state of inner peace. He reassures readers that while this journey requires effort, the rewards are immeasurable. The freedom that comes from no longer believing everything we think is the key to ending suffering and living a more joyful, fulfilling life. Ultimately, don't believe everything you think is a call to awaken to the truth that lies beyond the mind. It offers readers the tools and insights needed to break free from the cycle of overthinking and emotional turmoil. By learning to observe our thoughts without identifying with them, we can reclaim our power and live in a state of clarity, presence, and inner peace. Nguyen's message is both simple and profound. True liberation comes not from changing the world around us, but from changing the way we think about the world. By doing so, we unlock the potential to live a life free from unnecessary suffering and filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment.